We just saw this, yeah? Also, no, unbelievable lore of pregnant gay Luigi. What the heck is this?
It's a strange time to be named Luigi, especially if you're fat, gay, and dating your brother. Since the dawn of the internet, Luigi, unlike
That
Mario, has consistently been the
Mario. Does
target
she have
of
an
the
accent?
weirdest fetish art ever made. Whether he's 9 months pregnant, inflated, or passionately making out with his own brother, Luigi fan art is so bizarre that pundits have even accused it of attacking family values. But how did politicians find out about Super Mario incest in the first place? Why is DeviantArt obsessed with corrupting Luigi specifically? And how is his downfall linked to the housing crisis of 2008? This is the unbelievable sequence of events that got Luigi pregnant. This is Bad Art History.
Whoa. Bad art history
Like
and he's
most
like
things gay and weird, our story begins in the 90s with a company called Dick City Animation.
cold. It's like New Jersey.
But before we bust that one open, in case you've never seen this, pregnant, inflated, gay Luigi is a subgenre of fetish art that's been floating around the internet for at least 15 years. And while it's easy to look at something like this and assume that it's nothing more than DeviantArt weirdness, as soon as you try to figure out where any of it came from, nothing makes sense. Why was almost all of it a one-time thing for the artists who made it? Irony alone does not explain this, but I think I figured out what happened. In the mid-2000s, 3 events would unfold in rapid succession and ruin Luigi's life. First, in 2005, some jabroni goes to the zoo and uploads a video of it to a new website called YouTube. Then, in 2006, a British kids channel begins airing reruns of a Mario cartoon so famously ass that it broke thousands of young minds. And in 2007, VHS tapes of this show would make their way into the hands of the infamous YouTube poop community. But we're missing something. There's only one character in existence who could have reasonably gotten Luigi pregnant. A character conspicuously absent from an obscure educational game from 1993. Mario is missing. Strap in for the most batshit crazy art history lesson of your life.
Whoa.
In
It's everyone's art
1985,
now.
Super Mario Bros. Came out for the NES and changed the entertainment landscape forever. And I'm sure this is familiar to you. But to kids in the 80s, this was the equivalent of landing on the moon. So meteoric was Super Mario's success that a few short years and sequels later, it had inspired multiple shows, live action and animated, of hilariously inconsistent quality. It's worth remembering that during the 80s and 90s, cartoons made for the sole purpose of pushing action figures were becoming a fixture of children's entertainment, which, in case you ever wondered, is why they all have that look. But the Super Mario marketing department wasn't merely content traumatizing thousands of Gen X kids with 2 overweight Italians in front of a green screen. So they quickly got to work with more experimental types of spin-offs. And one of the earliest staples of hardcore PC gaming was born. Released for the MS-DOS in January 1993, Mario is Missing was a truly subversive point-and-click adventure game, in which you play as Luigi, who must rescue Mario from Bowser's clutches and foil Bowser's plan to buy enough hairdryers to melt all the ice of Antarctica. But the plot of the game is irrelevant, because its true legacy came in the form of one drawing. This unintentionally blood-curdling image of Luigi kinda just standing there and making a terrifying face. And this was the beginning of the end for Luigi fan art, for reasons you'll understand very shortly. The next summer, following the smash hit of Mario is Missing, a game would come out for the now infamous CDI console extension. A game so absolutely ass, with cutscenes so poorly acted and animated that the development team was firing staff halfway through production for making assets that were simply too ugly. The resulting monstrosity, Hotel Mario, became a cult classic for how visually offensive it was that it would come back into the fold 14 years later in the form of YouTube poops. And if you don't know what a YouTube poop is, you're way too young to be watching this. Get off my channel. But before we get there, you may be asking yourself, Frankie, this is all very educational.
Frankie.
But at what point does Luigi get pregnant? Say no
Monkey.
more. In
He was
addition to the
pregnant?
growing collection of janky Luigi images generated by these games was a spin-off TV series called Super Mario World, produced by a now shuttered studio called The Incredible World of Dick. This show, much like Hotel Mario and Mario is Missing, was pretty charmingly bad. And it was quite the blinker you'll miss it phenomenon because it only ran for 3 months in 1991. But its greatest contribution, cementing it in shitpost history, was its final episode, Mama Luigi. The plot is pretty cut and dry. Luigi recounts how he found Yoshi as a baby and decided to take care of him, referring to himself like this.
That'll teach you to mess with my new little buddy Yoshi.
Mama Luigi!
Cool it, caterpillar breath. I'm not your mama. Mama Luigi?
YouTube poops, the intellectual backbone of visual media. The stuff that so profoundly cooked my brain as a kid that I grew up to make videos about this. But what are they and why do they matter? By definition, a YouTube poop is not just a video that sucks. It's a type of mashup made of pre-existing media that gained enormous traction in 2006. The availability of home computers, the monstrous popularity of Windows XP, and the prevalence of an editing software you may have heard of called Windows Movie Maker meant that just about anyone could slam together clips from games and shows, raise the volume to something known as ear rape, slap 300 rainbow filters onto it and call it a day. These incoherent, seemingly random edits were a perfect fit for the 2000s era of explosive, random humor and took off almost immediately. And some of the most popular sources of media for this genre were Hotel Mario, Mario is Missing, and of course, Super Mario World.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die.
Between 2006 and somewhere around 2012, you
Mario.
couldn't throw a stone in any direction without hitting spaghetti, Ouija,
Pesky plumber.
the sky had a baby,
Squidward! The sky had a Pokemon from my cereal box!
and notably, Mama Luigi.
That's Mama Luigi to you, Mario.
But the metaphorical water most likely broke in 2008 when YouTuber Tippin' Man uploaded the legendary poop. Mama Luigi gets pregnant and dies. And the timing is no coincidence. Smack in the middle of the YouTube poop golden age, in 2009, this
The OG?
Luigi pregnancy fan art was gifted to the world. Created by DeviantArt Mpreg furry fetish artist Big Wolf, which is a sentence I defy you to tell me has existed before this. This palette-swapped Luigi was a cultural synthesis. Numerous fetish artists, likely inspired by some of the darker themes of these Mario poops, threw their hats into the
Mario.
ring with their own renditions of Luigi bearing a child, gaining dangerous amounts of weight, and so forth. And for what it's worth, YouTube poops touched on a variety of grave subject matter, including assault, pregnancy, unwanted fatherhood, death, and so on. But we're not even close to done with this yet, because there are two majorly confounding factors that
This is
we
amazing.
haven't even talked about yet: the recession and gay rights. Let's start with the gay stuff. To briefly return to where this all started, in the 90s, there was a massive development in the fan art space. In 1998, when I was 0 and therefore could not intervene, two bloggers going by the pseudonyms Talia Johnson and Texas Ranger coined the term Mpreg, or at least its earliest known use online. While male pregnancy is by no means a recent literary invention, the rise of fanfic sites like fanfiction.net and AO3, among others, allowed untold numbers of devoted fans to publish literally anything they could think of. And while this is a separate, larger phenomenon of its own, the slow but unstoppable tide of anime and manga in the English-speaking world coincided perfectly with fangirl antics. And before long, by the mid-2000s, otaku culture was in full swing. Anime and video game fans of all kinds wrote fanfics about their favorite male characters making out, getting pregnant, being forced to shower together at Sonic Fighting Academy. You get the point. Pregnant dudes, in fact, are such a staple of fangirl culture that there is an entire genre of alternate universe fiction called the Omegaverse. The crux of it is like there's guys and gals who desperately need to get pregnant, and then there's like these other guys and they get those guys pregnant. Anyway, I know it sounds crazy, but they literally did this in Fairly Odd Parents. They had an hour-long special where Cosmo gets pregnant and gives birth to a baby.
The baby just kicked. I think that means it's coming.
It's worth noting that these gay
I forgot
pairings
about
of
that.
characters that were usually not actually gay were largely done for the novelty and the taboo factor, not necessarily because everyone back in 2004 was especially impassioned about gay marriage. And because many of these fics were expressly written to be smut, there was also a great deal of incest. In fact, I remember when Orin High School Host Club was poppin' when I was like 11, I remember seeing those prehistoric memes, the twincest memes with the two twins. Does anybody remember what that is? Shipping siblings together because it was
No.
Le Smexy Yowie was relatively
don't watch
popular.
anime.
And though Super Mario as a franchise never had the type of fangirl following that, say, Legend of Zelda did, there were nevertheless trailblazing DeviantArt users that would stop at nothing to make sure Mario got Luigi pregnant. Mario Bros. Yowie Fan 12 was actually such a major influence on Super Mario incest that her artwork from 2011, mind you, still comes up in relevant Google searches today. But after 2011, there was a noticeable decline in the volume of pregnant Luigi art, which I believe coincides with the death of YouTube poop culture. As YouTube developed its corporate identity and sought to make itself more palatable to advertisers, its early rough around the edges era faded into irrelevance. And the fact was, in the early 2010s, calling things gay did not really hit the same. The topic of gay rights and gay equality was about to explode into the mainstream political discourse, and gay fan art that was once considered a gag had taken on a degree of post-ironic sincerity. Which is to say, even though there was no political appetite for incest, drawing Mario and Luigi locking lips was now seen as more completely universally funny than it possibly was offensive. But not by everyone. This joke fan art of Mario and Luigi making out, which funny enough actually did come from the YouTube
It got
era,
more offensive
randomly
or got...
resurfaced in 2019 in the form of a hoax tweet by an account pretending to be Nintendo of America. The account, which misspelled the word Nintendo, tweeted the gay Mario incest image with the caption, "Happy #Pride Month. Our staff is filled with people of all sexualities, so we love supporting that." And even though anyone with eyes could see that this was a
People think
joke,
it's real?
British conservative commentator Sebastian Gorka felt the degree of wokeness on display was so off the charts, he fired back, tweeting at the actual Nintendo of America. So Nintendo America is promoting incest now? Also, I want to be clear, Gorka is a human being, people fall for things all the time. Just recently, I saw a tweet about a totally bogus lost media game from like South Sudan called The Adventures of Sexstick, and I uncritically just believed it was true. I just thought this was a particularly funny interpretation of that tweet. And now that we covered shitty educational games, janky cartoons, YouTube poops, and super incest brothers, I have saved the craziest part for last. I have a theory about the 2008 recession and Luigi inflation and thickness that is so genuinely insane that I only teased it in the intro because I did not actually want to lead with it. But I think there's potentially a little something there, so please hear me out. As you may remember, the recession began in the tail end of 2007 and was over by the summer of 2009. Recession pop, as it's retroactively been called, was characterized by optimism, loudness, and excess. And following in this theme of general excess, common wisdom tells us that in times of financial or resource hardship, men tend to prefer a more voluptuous female figure because it suggests biological fitness. But in order not to go off speculation alone, I found contemporaneous articles from 2008 and 2010 suggesting that attitudes in the US during the recession and after were shifting in the direction of thickness. Studies from 2013 and 2020 also positively state that in times of hardship, men tend to prefer a curvier body. This also lines up, potentially as a coincidence, with a more bottom-heavy, ample beauty standard throughout the 2010s. Now, I'm not saying this is causative, or that it is the sole reason for the spate of Luigi weight gain and inflation art in the 2010s. However, I could not help but notice the intersection of loud, excessive, bombastic early 2010s humor of the rise of the thick movement and Luigi art that looks like this. And as for this artwork, by the way, though this image was fleetingly a meme in 2019, it's actually legitimate fetish art made by artist Lou the Pyro. The fetish in question but inflation. This is just my game theory. There is, as you can imagine, zero research into this topic. I just
believe it.
really needed
Every
to
word.
tell you that I made this observation during the research. And this leaves us with merely one loose end. Why Luigi? This question does not have a single answer, but the simplest explanation is that Luigi is portrayed as the younger, taller, slimmer, timid counterpart to his older brother. Put simply, he's kind of adorable. And if DeviantArt specializes in nothing else, it's taking a character you find wholesome and corrupting him in a way that sends you to therapy for the rest of your life. In fact, one of the more well-known examples of sexy Luigi corruption art that you have most likely seen is this image of a muscle-bound Luigi made by an unknown artist in 2015. Though something about this feels distinctly like joke fetish art. Fetish art is fetish art. This illustration, known by its moniker, That's How It Is on This Bitch of an Earth, fully subverts Luigi's character by depicting him as stoic and powerful. Though the original drawing did not actually include any text, the version that was widely circulated in 2015 in the form of this picture of a blanket gained such notoriety that even Shadman, an artist with a reputation for being horrendously edgy and offensive, made Raving Rabbids fan art of this. And if you were curious where the quote came from, amazingly, it is not actually just an edgy meme. It originates from the 1953 play Waiting for Godot, as authored by Samuel Beckett. Freaky Luigi art continues to surface on Twitter, DeviantArt, and the usual suspects. But it seems that his intense affair with inflation and the miracle of life is over, at least for now. YouTube poops are still being made, but they are nowhere near the cultural force that they used to be. And this doesn't really have to do with the video, but I need you to know that while working on the Luigi video, I was incapacitated for a week with back pain. Luigi and back pain. I genuinely could not come up with more insane timing for a joke if I tried. Because that's how it is on this bitch of an earth. This has been Bad Art History. This video was made possible by scum cells like you. Thank you. Please consider joining the Patreon for uncensored cuts and blooper reels that are getting longer every video, I promise. A game so absolutely ass with... I can't fucking read this next line, I can't. Oh my god. Tweeted the game Mario incest image. It's making me laugh. Too much. Bro, imagine being offended by this. Actually, I can imagine one person. Loki, my dad.
I like this.
I think you would be majorly offended. You would say this is disgusting. Why is this getting me so bad? Bro. I never break character like this. I never go crazy like this. But the gay Mario incest image. Did you know that I don't tell my family about YouTube? I just tell them I'm a video editor?
That's funny. That was amazing. Holy shit. What the fuck? Boop, 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 boop. It's your boy.